the question was asked, like, what did you guys initially think about when asked to count out 50 sheets of paper? And like, I don't think any of us, our initial thought was to take one sheet of paper, go to the copy machine and copy 50 sheets of paper. I was disappointed in myself, I could be honest, right? Because I'm like, man, that, like, obviously that makes sense. But what's the never sleep when you're dead? That's one of them. I grew up thinking that, man, in order for us to be like uber successful, like, you have to constantly be working. And I could remember back in the day, like, our parents was like, bro, you still on this game? Like, you can't play this game. This game ain't gonna bring nothing, no type of success, no type of money to you. Now we in an entirely new generation, and these gamers making more than our parents have ever made. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the new episode of the Myles High Podcast. This is Myles Jr. I'm your host. And on this podcast, my goal is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist, always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. All right, man. So we're coming towards the end of the second month of 2024, February. And this is usually, the month where reality starts to set in, right? And all of those big goals that we have set for ourselves at the top of the year, especially those gym goals, those health fitness goals, we get into this phase where we're getting burnt out or we're getting tired, right? And we're that's the time. This is the time in the year where, that influx of individuals in the gym at the top of the year, they start to dwindle down, right? And the gym gets much lighter. The crowd gets much lighter, much easier to maneuver around. I don't have to wait on a lot of weights, a lot of benches or anything too much now moving forward. Because this is the part of the year where, burning out is experienced, right? People were on a high and were super enthusiastic coming into the year. And, now that has kind of dwindled off and some of that fire has been put out. But my encouragement through this episode is to give you some keys to success without burning out. That's what I want to talk about today. Keys to success without burning out. I want to open with a story. So a group of friends of mine and we have this chat group, and one day one of our friends put this, it was like a story into a chat group. We got it off of social media, and the story went kind of like this, right? So there was this millennial manager had asked or requested a Gen Z intern to count out 50 individual copies of plain white paper, right? So they asked them, they gave them a stack of paper and was like, hey, can you count 50 paper sheets out of this stack for me? So the intern was like, all right, cool, I got it, no problem. So the intern went away, came back, gave the manager the 50 copies, but the manager noticed that the 50 copies were warm, and he was like, man, why are these sheets warm? I gave them to you cold, but they're warm. And the intern was like, yeah, I just took one of the sheets of paper and went to the copying machine and printed out 50 copies, right? And that story in our chat group sparked a conversation, right? And all of us are millennials, first of all, right? So initially, like, all of our initial thoughts were, like, at least the question was asked, like, what did you guys initially think about, when asked to count out 50 sheets of paper? And like, I don't think any of us, our initial thought was to take one sheet of paper, go to the copy machine and copy 50 sheets of paper. But I read that and I was disappointed in myself, I could be honest, right? Because I'm like, man, that, like, obviously that makes sense. Like, sitting there counting out 50 copies or sheets of paper manually, right? As opposed to making it easier on yourself and just going to the copying machine and printing out or copying 50 sheets of paper, right? And that just kind of, that always stuck with me. This was, this is a conversation we had sometime last year, right? Maybe mid 2023. But I've always reminded myself of that story, especially when I'm thinking about new ventures I want to get into or new business ideas I want to get into. I ask myself, am I counting out 50 sheets of paper, or am I copying one sheet of paper 50 times? And it's just, to me, it's just a mindset that we need to have, right? This new generation, this Gen Z generation that's coming up, their mindset is entirely different from ours, right? And our mindset as millennials, we're entirely different from the baby boomers. But I feel like, each of us have the opportunity to change our mindset or to expand our mindset and to think of doing things a different way. I think, when I was growing up, I heard all of these, these nice sayings, the early bird gets the worm, and, you should never sleep. What's the never sleep saying? You remember?
I never followed it, so.
I get, sleep is for the wary or something like that, but it was like, sleep is for the wary, or sleep when you're dead. Yeah. That's one of them. And like all of these terms that, encouraged us to like always go at it, always be at it, always be working nonstop 24/7, just apply yourself to the work, to be successful. Right. And, I grew up thinking that, man, in order for us to be like uber successful, like you have to constantly be working. If you're ever not working, and that was one too, never not working, right? That was another saying. And if you're never not working, right, you're not doing enough. And as I read more books and I love to read books about entrepreneurs and like from rags to riches stories, basically, whether it's an individual or an organization. Like I love those stories because I love to learn about the mindset of those types of individuals, like from creating something from nothing into something that, is far-fetched. Like just recently, I read the story. I read an article on the gentleman who created the camera doorbell, right? And the article started from where he went on Shark Tank, which is a popular show where these innovators go on to try and get funding for their idea. And he showed this doorbell with a camera, and everyone was looking at it. It was like, bro, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why would someone invest in this, right? And I think that was back in, I want to say 2013. It's 2024 now, and his net worth is $2.5 billion. So almost 10 years. He started, I think at the time, his net worth was like somewhere around like $200,000, $100,000, something like that. But now, he took that idea and like kept at it, and turned it into a net worth of $2.5 billion, right? And it was just all about mindset and not conforming to the status quo, right? And again, I think hard work is important. I think it's important for us to apply ourselves, right? And always be working and thinking and growing as individuals. By no means am I saying to not work hard. But what I am saying is the way that we learn that in the traditional sense, right? Growing up, and how, I could remember constantly hearing and reading, the early bird gets the worm. So you got to wake. If you ain't up by 5 o'clock, you late. Like someone else out there working harder than you. Or if you sleeping, like you missing out on the opportunities that you could be getting, being up and at it, right? And all of these things that we would have learned, I just realized that, man, it's applicable, but there's a time and a place for everything, right? There's a time and a place to put in overtime in the work, right? And especially like early on, if you're building a business, obviously you have to apply yourselves for more than 8 hours, right? Sometimes you have to pull 16-hour days. You have to pull 18-hour days, right? It's not just going to be the regular 9 to 5, the 8-hour work day. sometimes you're going to have to put more into it. But the idea of constantly doing that, or like consistently doing that for 20, 30, 40 years is ridiculous, right? I mean, it's I don't even think it's capable, right? Or shouldn't be capable, right? And I think it's a reason why a lot of us go into things being enthusiastic about it, and then we just get burnt out. Like we get tired, we get stressed, and we get less motivated about wanting to do the things that we first set out to do. And then going back to the example I used at the top of the pod, where, you know, this millennial requested that this Gen Z intern, you know, count out 50 sheets of paper, and you know, he was like, okay, you want 50 sheets of paper? I'm not going to do it the way you want me to do it, right? I'm going to do it the way that makes sense to me. I'm just going to copy one sheet of paper 50 times. You know, that's just this mindset, or this new way of thinking for this generation. I think is something that even us as millennials could learn from, right? Because we live in an era where unconventional paths can lead to success and prosperity, right? We have gamers, like people literally playing games all day are making millions of dollars, right? And I could remember back in the day, like our parents was like, bro, you still on this game? Like you can't play this game. This game ain't bring nothing, no type of success, no type of money to you. Like this game isn't going to benefit you in the long run, right? Now we in an entirely new generation, and these gamers making more than our parents have ever made, right? And it just shows the evolution of mindset. It shows the evolution of opportunities. It shows how unconventional things, or things that we didn't think were beneficial to us, are now beneficial to us, right? Then you have streaming. You have people literally paying to watch an individual cut their camera on and sit down and go throughout their day in their house all day. They're either playing games, they're watching videos and commenting on the videos, or they're doing various things while live streaming, right, for an audience to see. And they are tripling and quadrupling their net worth. So the opportunities that are out there for us, which are non-traditional, right, unconventional things that didn't even exist 10 years ago, but they exist today, and it provides us new ways to be successful, new ways to express ourselves professionally, new ways to be creative, new ways to just make a living for ourselves, right? And then, you know, you have the good old influencers, right? And you got YouTube influencers, bloggers, you know, all of these avenues that, you know, we didn't have when I was growing up. You know, it was strictly about, you know, the 9 to 5, you got to get a job, first you got to get an education, go get your diplomas and all that. Then you got to find a good job and, you know, make a good living and all of that, right? But again, it's all about mindset. You can do all of that. That works for some people, like going to school, getting a degree and finding a 9 to 5, but that doesn't work for everyone. And I don't think it should be applied to everyone, right? So just from a mindset perspective, I wanted to just give some keys to success to avoid burning out. Because I think burning out is something that you're going to experience if all you're doing is focusing on the end result. Like, I want to be successful, or I want to have X amount of money in my bank account at the end of the day, and I'm going to work towards getting this. Where, you know, the journey or the joy is in the journey, right? The joy is going through the process and seeing yourself, you know, 10 years ago where you started, and then looking at yourself 10 years later and being like, man, this was a great journey. But do you remember the journey? Do you remember the processes that you took? Because you need to take time to sit and just meditate, right? And just realize like where you started and what you've accomplished, and the many wins that you've had to this point, to this now, you know, summit of a mountain that you've been trying to climb, and you're finally there, and you're excited and being congratulated by everyone around you. But do you remember the journey? Like, did you appreciate your family during the process? Did you appreciate your friends during the process, the other persons that assisted you to getting to this point? Were they appreciated, right? Did you appreciate everything that you went through? So in these tips, to avoid burning out, it's a mindset thing. And I just want to lay that foundation first so that, you can pull from this what works for you, but just know that from a mindset standpoint, you have to yourself think about unconditional and unconventional ways that you can apply these ideas or, create some tips for yourself and just look at what's going on in the world around us, right? Look at the evolution of technology, the opportunities, the different opportunities that we have, and just seeing what works for us. So the first tip I want to give, pretty straightforward, right? Easy doesn't mean lazy. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times I have heard like older people look at younger people and say, man, you doing this easy thing, you just lazy, this all you could do, like you can't do more, just because like in their growing up or in their professional lives, they see working hard as like always busy, always doing something, always like, moving around and just moving. When, these kids, or us, I'm going to put myself in this new generation, we're able to relax, right, and not work as hard or have to exude as much energy as the previous generations, because we're thinking more about the time that we're putting in and the energy that we're putting in to receive the output that we want to receive, right? And I think a lot of the times, we think just because something is easy, even if it's easy for me to do, right, it doesn't mean I'm lazy. It just means that it's something that I'm good at or I'm a natural at, and I don't have to apply as much energy as you would to, said act, right? Going back to the example with the copying of the sheets, right? Someone may look at that as being lazy. Like, why aren't you counting out the 50 sheets of paper? Like, why are you copying one sheet of paper 50 times? Like, stop being lazy. Go in there and go count these 50 sheets of paper out. And then you look at them and be like, yo, what sense does that make? Like, at the end of the day, we're reaching the exact same goal we set out to reach, right? You're doing it your way, I'm doing it my way. Doesn't make your way much more complex or less lazy than mine just because I'm using my mind, or maybe using my mind a bit more than you are, right? So easy doesn't mean lazy.
Before you move on, I think this generation is the epitome of we ain't here to pay bills, work and die, because we're going to do the least, make the most, and enjoy life, our families, the fruits of our labor before retirement,
Yeah, and so this was going to come up in one of my later points, but we could discuss it now, right? Because I'll bring this point up. So the next point is to plan, prioritize, and then put down, right? And it's essentially talking about your work-life balance. Work-life balance is so important when it comes to like not burning out. Again, my generation has been conditioned to think like, there are these certain handful types of jobs that you need to get to be successful. Like, I think, I don't know if Sharice and I spoke about this on one of the pods or maybe just in our personal conversations, but there was this girl that she and I were talking about, and she introduced me to her story, and her story basically was, I think she was a lawyer or something. The girl who I guess was a lawyer for some period of time.
Oh yeah. Who does now influencing?
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead and.
Well, she was African, and in certain cultures they have these jobs in high esteem.
Got to be a doctor, lawyer, accountant.
Yep. And so she went to school because her parents wanted to be a lawyer. I think she went to Harvard.
She wanted to appease her parents. I went to a good school too.
She went to Harvard, which is clearly saying something about her intellect. She went to Harvard. She graduated, but she was doing makeup on the side. Well, influencing stuff that she liked. She wasn't getting paid. She was just getting free stuff from brands, and she was in a top firm in New York, working in New York, Manhattan, and someone in the law firm saw what she was doing and complained about it or brought it up to management. And I think in her contract it said that she couldn't accept free things. And so I think that was some type of, something there. And she made the decision, listen, I am a lawyer. I think she was working for 1 year and making a lot of money, but she said, I love influencing. This is what I love to do. I love putting on makeup. This is what I'm going to do. And she quit her job and now is a full-time influencer making money.
Well, they gave her an ultimatum. They was like, look, you could leave this or not do this influencing makeup stuff on the side and stick to this job, because we paying you all this money and we giving you all this prestige and all this, access to things that we deem you would want access to, right? And tried to use that as this carrot that they were dangling together to like take the bait and like leave something that she loved to do, right? Took less of her energy and something that she enjoyed probably more than the job that she had. And she chose to leave. Yeah,
she left and now she's doing extremely well. Her standard of living is not compromised because she's making just as much money doing what she loves. She's being recognized by brands and celebrities and companies that probably she wouldn't have had access to had she kept, on her current job path. But she also said something that is important. I could always go back. My law degree isn't going anywhere, and this is my chance to fulfill my goal. So if I want to go back, I can, but I don't want to be in the rat race. I want to live my life on my own terms and not be stressed out, because that was a stressful job. And she is 100% successful. And I think even now her parents has come around to say, but that's what you want. That's what you want to do.
And, I think, again, the mindset of this new generation is, bro, y'all are not going to corner me into doing something or accepting something I don't want to accept or I don't want to do. Like, this job is nice. Yes, this position or this job that I have or had did provide me to live, with a certain lifestyle, allow me to meet certain type of people or, whatever that job did. But this is what I love to do. Right. And I would much rather try this. Right. Because she said, I could always go back to the law. Right. I have a degree in law. So it's not like I'm going to lose the knowledge, and I may have to, update certain things when it comes to law and practicing law if I choose to go back. But, it's not something that's going to be like far-fetched for me to do if I don't want to. I mean, if I wanted to, like, later on. But right now I have an opportunity, or I see an opportunity that I want to take advantage of, and I'm taking that opportunity. Like back in the day, we might have had the idea of like wanting to do something and like just totally been afraid to do it because of what our parents were telling us or what society was telling us, and us just not being confident in the unknown, right? And saying that, man, I have this job here that gives me all of these benefits and security and whatnot, but there's an opportunity that I think I want to do. I think I like doing, and I think could be beneficial to me if done correctly. But I'm afraid. What choice do you make? And this generation is definitely doing that. And go ahead.
I mean, I will give this generation their props, but I think it started with millennials.
No, absolutely.
Because it started with the bloggers. It started with the influencers, which have been like 15 plus years ago. Mm-hmm. And I think society really is afraid of these people because it's like we can't control them.
Breaking the mold.
We've broken the norm. Mm-hmm. And even like recently when COVID came, everybody realized how beneficial it is to work from home.
Yep.
We're not stuck in offices, which means ain't no one paying rent, ain't no one making that money. And it's just all about controlling people. And now even not even Gen Z, not even millennials, even baby boomers are now waking up. We got baby boomers who are on the internet making money, who used to be teachers and this and that. They are influencers living out their best lives. So I feel like it started with millennials, and now Gen Zs have taken it to a different level. And I think it's just beneficial for society because we're not living under anyone's thumb anymore. Mm-hmm. Like we have shown people like you can live life on your own terms and be successful and just do the thing.
So tip number 2 is to plan, prioritize, and put down. And what that essentially means is like do what you can, but at the end of the day, like enjoy life, like enjoy it while you're living, right? the work-life balance is something that should never be ignored, right? You should not be an individual who is just working all the time, and you're ignoring your wife or your husband. You're ignoring your kids. You're ignoring the quality time that you could spend with friends, with other family members. It's a balance that is needed, and a balance that hasn't been spoken about in my generation growing up, because we were always taught to focus on work. Like, you got to work hard, take an hour off for lunch, get back to work, right? In the night, take some work home, see what you can finish when you get home, sleep for 3-4 hours, then get back to work the next morning. But being able to plan out your day and be like, all right, this is a plan that I'm going to put into place. Then I'm going to prioritize the things that need my utmost attention, or the majority of my focus. But then we need to put it down, right? When it's time, and it doesn't have to be an 8-hour work day, right? It could be 10 hours, it could be 12 hours. But at a certain point, you got to put the work down. Like, when you walk through the door of your house, that time should be spent with your wife, should be spent with your kids. And obviously this isn't going to be able to happen every day, right? But I'm just trying to give you some advice or some tips on setting some boundaries and putting some metrics in place, or boundaries in place, to where, this time is dedicated to me and my wife, and us ensuring that our relationship is strong. This time here is dedicated to my kids and me attending games, attending practices, being able to pick them up from school, like whatever that is. Those moments in time, you're never going to be able to get back. And in the perspective of kids never forget, right? And kids don't care about the work that you're doing. They don't understand the concept of, we need to go to work to pay these bills, to do all of these things, right? And sure, that stuff is important, but there's going to be some time that you need to carve out in your day, or in your week, or in your month, dedicated to you just spending time, social time with your kids, or your family, or your friends. Work-life balance is important. So to be able to plan, prioritize, and then put down is something that I don't think none of us should avoid, right? The third tip is to do not do the unnecessary. I can't tell you the amount of times I've talked to someone who is they're doing a process, or going through a process, and I'm looking at the person, and I'm like, but you're doing more work than you need to, or like, why are you doing this step? This step is unnecessary, because you can get to this result if you take these 2 steps out, and they're just steps that aren't needed, but they're doing it because it's what they were taught, or what the tradition is. And again, what I love about this generation is, like, I'm not doing anything that is unnecessary, bro. Like, if you want me to move these pallets from point A to point B, and I don't want to lift these pallets because I could use a machine that is now invented, right? May not have been invented back in your day, which I understand, but that machine exists now. So I can use this machine to do the work where I don't have to exert as much energy. So I'm not going to do any unnecessary work, because we have the technology, or the devices, or the systems in place for us to not have to do the unnecessary. Again, going back to the example with counting out the 50 sheets, literally sitting there and counting out 50 sheets is unnecessary. Like, if you really think about it, right? It's so much easier to go to the copying machine and copy one sheet of paper 50 times. You're getting to the same results. So in order for us to avoid the burnout, right? Just don't do the unnecessary. Look at the process, look at the steps that you're doing, the things that you're putting into place. And if there are some of those steps that can be eliminated, by all means do it. Again, if we go back to the first point, easy doesn't mean lazy, right? And doing the unnecessary doesn't mean you're not doing the work, right? You're just doing it much easier with much less energy than you was before. And then the last tip, and this is what I think is the most important. Define your success. I think society has for years has been telling us what success is supposed to look like, right? It's a dollar amount in your bank account. It's the type of house that you live in. It's the type of car that you drive. It's the type of clothes you wear. And, you look at these millennials, and, a lot of them don't even care about these things in life, right? They're so excited to be doing things that they love every day and don't have to, clock in or put a 9 to 5 in or whatnot. But they're successful in their own right because they're defining what success is for them. And that's always been a goal of mine, right? To just change the mindset of what success is in society or what society has defined as success. Success is all relative. Success is whatever you make it to be. Anything you want to be successful at, you can be successful at because you're defining your own success. So the dollar amount in your bank account doesn't matter. The type of car you have doesn't matter. The type of house you live in doesn't matter. Where you come from doesn't matter. Where you are now doesn't matter. It's all about the mindset that you have and the work ethic that you have, right? And what you're going to put into it is exactly what you're going to get out. So if you're defining success as, just doing something that I love, being able to create and give something to individuals, something that I was able to create out of love and the desire to get this creative idea out of my mind. If that's what success is to you, then by all means be successful in that. Again, my success isn't your success. Your success probably wouldn't be my success. But if we define success for ourselves, right, create our own meaning for living and existence and being happy and what it looks like to us, what a successful marriage looks like, what a successful family looks like, what a successful profession looks like. It's all relative, right? There's no one way to define success. Success is different for everyone. And I think we begin to get burnt out when we start chasing the success that we're being told is success. Like, this is what success looks like. So this is what you need to be successful. And we're continuing to chase that, continuously chasing this level of success that puts us on a hamster wheel, right? And we're just running in place. And this wheel is just turning. And we're not making any progress because it's not something that we're defining for ourselves. So again, to avoid burnout, I think ultimately defining our own success, what success looks like for me, is important. I could even liken it to having a workout regime, right? Going to the gym. I think we all see it, right? We all see these Instagram or these gym influencers, right? And the way that they look and how they carry their body, especially females, right? You have these females who bodies look a certain way and they say, oh, if you want to look like me, you could join my 30-day workout program or buy this product from me and you could look like that. But what they're not telling you is that they're going to these doctors and getting these BBLs done, getting all this surgical work done for them to look that the way that they look now, and telling you that you can do it naturally. And when you're focusing on that and you're working hard and exuding all this energy, but not achieving the results that you see because that result is fabricated, then you get disappointed and you feel like you're unsuccessful. You have to define your own success. What is the ideal physique for you? What do you want your body to look like? What's healthy for you, right? And then you take your time getting to that. If it took them 6 months, it might take you 6 years, but be consistent with it. You don't have to overly exert yourself or your energy in overworking yourself and then mentally burning yourself out because you're so exhausted and tired because you're not getting the results that you need. My encouragement is to, again, just because it's easy doesn't mean it's lazy or you're lazy. Don't do the unnecessary. Plan, prioritize, and then put down. Work-life balance is important. And then define your own success. Because I think doing all of these or having this type of mindset is going to allow you not to be burnt out, right? Because you're taking time away. You're spending less energy, and you're doing things that you love to do. You don't care what society thinks. You don't care what tradition tells you, but you're doing it because it makes you happy, and ultimately, eventually, possibly could make a living for you and your family, for everyone to enjoy. All right, so these just some tips I wanted to give to avoid burning out, but still being successful in the same light. All right. Babe, anything you wanted to add?
No, I think I said it all.
Good deal. Well, we're now at the point of the pod where I want to leave with you a milestone. And the milestone for today is very simple. Burnout happens when you avoid being human for too long. I read this quote and I was like, man, this is perfect for what we are discussing today. Burnout happens when you avoid being human for too long. So let's not ignore the fact that we're all human, right? We need our downtime. We need rest. We need time off. And then, we do need to work and continue to go at it and to be productive. But, understand that we're all human. Never stop listening to your body. Your body is going to tell you what you need, whether you need rest, whether you need to eat, whether you need to do certain things. Your body is going to show you signs or symptoms of the needs that it is requesting from you. So don't ignore them. And I think that's one of the best ways to avoid being burnt out. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of this pod. This one was a good one. I really enjoy speaking about topics like this. Hopefully you learned something today. And as always, the goal that I have with this pod is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you think exist. Always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. All right. So until next time, you guys stay blessed.